How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Yudalid, Daf 14. Masechta Avodah Zarah, friends. Yo, friends, today we are talking about things you're not allowed to buy from pagans. How does that sound? With a particular focus on white birds. However, without further ado, we're going to start on Daf Yud Gimel Mud Beis at the Mishnah. Here we go. Elu dvorim asurim limkol eved chum. When Yud Gimel Mud Beis, about 5-10 lines from the bottom at the beginning of the Mishnah, and I'm going to quickly rub my nose with my mom's permission. What is it? What is it? Better to ask for forgiveness or something? I don't know. Better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission or something? So, sorry, Mom. Do you forgive me? All right. We're going to start on Daf Yud Gimel Mud Beis at the Mishnah, about 5-10 lines from the bottom. Elu dvarim asurim limkar la'ovid kechavim. These are things you're not allowed to sell to ovid kechavim. Oh, what did I say? Did I say things you're not allowed to? Oh, sell. I have to edit that. To sell to, not to buy from. To sell. Right, that's correct. Sell to. Okay, things you're not allowed to sell to pagans. Not to sell to pagans. All right. Sell to pagans. Okay, good times. Okay, yeah, I started writing like descriptions and titles and stuff again for the. Well, I never really wrote descriptions and titles so much, but just like preparing in advance. I used to at the beginning like write out a lot of notes beforehand. I haven't done that in years. Take 3. These are the things that you're not allowed to sell to the idolaters. It's strublin, ubnos shuach, uftotris, ulivona. Livona is frankincense. Vitanagol alavon, and a white chicken. A white chicken. White chicken. All right. Rabbi Omer says, Rabbi mutter limkol lo tarnagol lovin bena tarnagelin. Aha. So Rabbi actually, what's the word I'm thinking of? Rabbi kind of, I don't know. He adjusts that. I don't know. Rabbi says that is, you're not allowed to sell only a white chicken, but if you're selling a bunch of chickens and a white chicken is among them, that would be, he qualifies that. That's the word I was thinking. He qualifies that if you're selling the white chicken among other colored chickens, that would be acceptable. And if you want to sell just a plain old white chicken, kote is its bow, so cut off its finger, and then sell it. Because the getchkis don't like when the chickens are missing fingers. They like chicken fingers, apparently. All other things, their stams, their defaults are permitted, but their specifics are forbidden. The Gemara is going to talk about what that means, the specifics and the generals. Avdekel tab, even a good palm tree, v'chatzav v'niklas, whatever those are. Also, limkor lov de kchov, you're not allowed to sell to idolaters. How is that for a Mishnah? Bunch of stuff you can't sell, and also white chickens and frankincense. Says the Gemara, Mayit stroblin. What are its stroblins? Tornisa. It's tornisas. Wait, how could its stroblin be tornisas? Osifu alein, but we have Bryce that says that they added on to like shmita, things that are also for shmita. Alachzin for its stroblin, mochsasin uvnos shuach v'salgadaitich. It's stroblin tornisa. How could it be? Right. So if we're saying that its stroblin are like, I guess, shaykh to shmita, well then how could its stroblin be tornisas? Because tornisa mi isa b'shvius, but their tornisas aren't shaykh to shvius. Tani, we learn in the Brisa, zaklal kol sheyesh le'ikr yesh lo shvius. Only things that have an ikr, I guess a root, have shmita significance, relevance. Fal she'ein lo ikr, if it doesn't have like a root, I guess, like, it won't. No, what does Rashi say? Iker, the skayim ba'aretz b'mosa geshavim kigon kishun v'dlun v'chayotzibun, right? That they don't have like a, I don't know, yeah, I guess like a root to stay in the ground during the rain. All right. So then it's not shaykh to shvius. Choshe ein lo iker ein lo shvius. Whereas so choshe yesh lo iker yesh, choshe ein lo iker ein lo shvius. Okay, if it doesn't have like a root, I guess. So then there's no shmita, and I guess tornisas don't have roots. Alamer of Safra rather says of Safra peri. Okay, no. So how could it be that it's stroblin or tornisas? They can't be tornisas. So Ella Amr of Safra peri de arza. It's the fruits of the Erez tree. That's what its stroblin is. Also Ravan Amr Rabbi Lazar peri de arza. Also when Ravan came, says in Rabbi Lazar, they were talking about the fruits of the Erez tree. That's what its stroblin is. Said in times here at Babylon Talmud. Beno shuach. What are those? White figs. Reb Hillel, I'm stuck here in Chutzlarts. How do they have figs yet in Shuk Machni? Reb Hillel, what's going on right now in Eretz Yisrael? Like, what's the matzav? You can go to the Shuk. Like, what happens when you go to Shuk Machni? Are things open? What happens when there's a siren? Have there been sirens in Yerushalayim? I haven't noticed. Baruch Hashem, I haven't noticed anything significant happening in Yerushalayim. Maybe our enemies, because I understand that, right, that the missiles, the rockets or the missiles, I don't know. I think maybe missiles or maybe rockets. I think maybe the nafkamina between a missile and a rocket is that I think a missile is guided, maybe, whereas a rocket you just can kind of aim it. I think these are just aimed. I don't think that these are guided. I think they're just aimed. I think. Anyways, whatever they're shooting at us, I think they're not particularly accurate. I think they're only, quote unquote, accurate within like a quarter of a mile or half a mile or something like that. So maybe it's just too risky to target Jerusalem because, they might hit things or people that they don't want to hit. They want to hit Yidden, or at least Israelis. Anyway, let's try to keep it apolitical. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, just that I noticed that Jerusalem has been relatively quieter. It seems from the outside perspective. So Hillel, maybe just let us know what's going on in Yerushalayim. If you go to Shuk Machni, there's people over there, and if you go to the Shuk Machni and things are open, do they have fig season yet? I remember last year the fig season was very, very brief last year because I think it's probably related to the Hezbollah at the time they still thought that they were able to fight against Am Yisrael. They saw what happened. Hashem came and showed them Hashem Shmoy. And anyways, so last year the fig season was very, very brief, very delicious, but very, very brief. So basically this is all to say, Hillel, are there figs in the shuk? Are they white figs? What's a white fig? Hill, do you know what a white fig is? I don't know, I just know what a fig is. Okay, Hillel, you let us know what's going on, all right? Okay. Now, I keep on calm in chutzlarts, It's hard to eat the pears of chutzlarts without comparing them to the pears of Eretz Yisrael. I'll tell you, Chaver, they got nothing on the pears of Eretz Yisrael. Nothing. They're not bad, but they're like kind of cute, The pears in Eretz Yisrael is next level. Like they have cherries here. Baruch Hashem, we have cherries. They taste okay. But no, Baruch Hashem, I'm not complaining. Fakert. I'm dafka being mashbiach Eretz Yisrael. It's not that I'm complaining about chutzah. It's fakert. I'm very thankful to the Rebbeinu Shalom that He gives me delicious fruit to eat wherever I am. But in Eretz Yisrael, I'm telling you, I'm not joking when I say this. Next level, Paris of Eretz Yisrael, second to none. Okay, avatiach, is avatiach. In Eretz Yisrael, by avatiach, mom shall change your life. Here, okay, it's avatiach, Baruch Hashem, we have it, but... Okay, where are we? So, where are we? White figs, Hillel, you're going to let us know. All right. Uftotris and stems, meaning when we're talking about the fruits of the eras and the white figs that Hillel is going to tell us about, that's with their stem. So protros is not like a separate thing. It's just commenting about the previous items that they're with their figs. Livona, frankincense. I'm Rabbi Yitzchak, I'm Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Livona zaka, pure frankincense. But from all of these things that you're not allowed to sell, you can sell them if it's in a bundle. Because if it's selling in a, meaning the concern is that these things are going to be used to serve Avodah Zarah. However, if it's in a bundle, so then he's not buying a whole bundle for Avodah Zarah, he's buying it to sell, in which case it's fine. So you could sell it to somebody who's buying it to then sell to others. That's fine. It's at least 3 manas. Okay? I do not think it means like 300 dinars. I really don't think it means that. That would be a humongous amount. I don't know. The article I think said like the weight of like a mana or something. I honestly, I'm not exactly sure. Anybody have any ideas? I assume it does not mean that it's valued at 300 manas. That would be a lot of money, I think. Wait, but don't we have to be concerned that if you sell these items to this guy and he's buying a whole bundle, so we're saying he's going to sell it, but don't we have to be concerned that he's going to sell it to others and then they're going to use it for Avodah Zarah, and ultimately you're the source of their Avodah Zarah worship because you sold it to the person who sold it to them? Look, the issue is lifnei velosite michshol, right? We don't want to give somebody something if he's then going to end up using it to serve Avodah Zarah, right? So for a yid to directly sell something to an ovid kochavim that can be used for avodas kochavim, that's lifnei velosite michshol. But to sell to an ovid kochavim a whole bundle that he may then sell to somebody else who may then use it for avodah zarah, that's already a step removed, right? It's lifnei de lifnei. It's you know, I don't know how to technically explain it, but it's like 2 steps removed. It's not just lifnei velositen michshol. It's putting a stumbling block in front of a person who may end up then passing it on to another stumbling guy. It's twice removed, right? Lifnei velositen michshol is don't give something directly to a person who may end up messing up. Here it's giving it to a person who then may end up passing it on to another person who may end up messing up. There's no gezerah about that. Okay. V'tarnagol loven, the white chicken. Amr b'yayna, amr b'zera, amr b'zvid. V'kidamasni, amr b'yayna, amr b'zera. Tarnagol limi mutter limkarlo tarnagol loven. So if the ovid kochavim is walking around the market, he's saying, looking for a chicken. Who's got a chicken? I'm looking to buy a chicken. So if that's the case, you could sell him a chicken. And if it happens to be you have a white chicken, sell him a white chicken because he's not looking specifically for a white chicken. He's looking for a chicken to eat. He's hungry. So in that case, you could sell him whatever color you want. Right, again. Tarnagol lemi, if he simply says, look, I'm looking to buy a chicken, Muslim call lo tarnagol loven, you could sell him any chicken. You sell him black chicken, red chicken, white chicken, whatever you want. Tarnagol loven lemi, but if you have this ovid kochavim walking around the shuk saying, I'm looking for a white chicken, well, then all the Yidden are like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? The Yidden hear this ovid kochavim saying he's looking for a white chicken. The Yidden are like, okay, he basically wants to serve avodah zarah. That's why he specifically needs a white chicken. Imagine that all the chickens taste the same, and therefore, if he was just hungry, he wouldn't need a white chicken. Why doesn't he a white chicken? Because he wants to avodah zarah. So in that case, if he's specifically looking for a white chicken, right, he says, Tanagol loven me, who's got my white chicken? Also, Tanagol loven, you can't sell him a white chicken because the concern is that he's going to use it to serve avodah zarah. Tanad Rabbi Yehuda Omer. We learned in our Mishnah that Rabbi Yehuda had said that, so we saw machlokes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah. The Chachamim had said you simply can't sell a white chicken to an ovid kochavim. Chachamim has said that you simply cannot sell a white chicken to an ovid kochavim. That's it. Now Rabbi Yehuda said, well, it depends. you could sell it among other chickens. If you're selling a bunch of chickens, so in that bunch could be a white chicken. Now the question is, what's that scenario? Because if it's talking about where the Ovid Kechavim is walking around saying, I'm looking for a white chicken, so then we're like, wait, he's basically saying he wants to do Avodah Zarah. Yehuda would not allow you to sell him a white chicken as long as you like sell him some other chickens. Like, no, if he's looking to do Avodah Zarah, you can't enable him to do that. Including the white chicken with other colored chickens is not going to make any difference. You can't enable him to do Avodah Zarah. So it must be that when does Rabbi Yehuda say that you can bundle a white chicken together with other chickens? Must be talking about, therefore, a scenario where he's not specifying that he's looking for a white chicken particularly. He must be talking about a situation where he says, I'm looking for a chicken. And the Chachamim still say, no, you can't sell him a white chicken, even if he doesn't specify white. Rabbi Yehuda says that's true. However, if he bundles it with others, well, then the fact that he didn't specifically say that he's looking for a white chicken, and you're not dafka giving him only a white chicken, you're bundling together with other chickens, says Rabbi Yehuda, in that case it could be allowed. But we do see, though, so if that's the case, so I'm saying all this out loud, but if that's the case, then it sounds like if he says that he's looking for a white chicken, there's no scenario where it would be allowed. If he says he's just looking for a regular chicken, the Chachamim would say not allowed. Rabbi Yehuda would agree not allowed, right? When he says he's looking for a regular chicken, he makes an exception if you bundle it together with others. But then who should I say this is? Amr Reb Yonah, Amr Reb Zera, Amr Zviv, Amr Reb Yonah, Amr Reb Zera. I don't know, who should I say this is? I'll say it's Reb Yonah. Just because either way he's there. How could Reb Yonah say that when he says, I'm looking for a plain chicken, you'd be allowed to sell him a white chicken, right? Reb Yonah had said, if he says, I'm looking for a plain chicken, you could sell him a white chicken. If he says, I'm looking for a white chicken, you can't. But if he says, I'm looking for a plain chicken, you can sell him a white chicken. But if we look at our Mishnah, that doesn't necessarily seem to make sense, because when Reb Yehuda says that you could bundle a white chicken with others, it must be talking about a scenario where he's looking for a plain chicken, but everybody would agree you can't sell him a white chicken. The only way you could sell him white chicken is if it's bundled together with other chickens, and only according to Rabbi Yehuda. So how could Rabbi Yonah just simply say that if he says, I'm looking for a plain chicken, you could sell him a white chicken? That doesn't seem to be in line with our Mishnah. So I explained all this outside, but let's read it inside. Tanan Rabbi Yehuda, Omer says Rabbi Yehuda, Mocher ulo tarnagol lavon, ben tarnagol. Says Rabbi Yehuda that the Yid can sell the Ovid Kechavim a white chicken if it's bundled with, if it's together with other chickens that he sells him a few chickens, including a white chicken. But Heichidami, what is that scenario? If it's a scenario where the Ovid Kechavim is walking around in the market and he says, I'm looking for a white chicken, Well, if that's the case, then Rabbi Yehuda would say you can't sell him a white chicken ever, at all. Even if it's bundled together with others. If he's looking for a white chicken, it means he's looking to do Avodah Zarah. You can't enable him to do that, even if you sell him with other chickens. Lab dika omar tanagol lemi. Rather, must be talking about a scenario where he says, I'm looking for a plain chicken. I'm just looking for any chicken. And even so, the Rabbi Yehuda ben tanagolin in bifnei atzmo lo. And even so, Rabbi Yehuda says only it would be allowed if it's among other chickens, but not, you can't only sell him a white chicken. For the Tanakama, afilu ben tanagolin namilo. And the Tanakama would say, you can't sell him a white chicken at all, even with other chickens. So how could it be that Rabbi Yonah is simply saying that if he just says, I'm just looking for a chicken, you could sell him a white chicken? It seems like nobody would agree with that. It says, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, our Mishnah is talking about, he says, I'm looking for, he says, I'm looking for a white chicken and a red chicken and a black chicken. So in that scenario, that is where our machlokas is. Meaning, Meaning what we're saying is this. There's actually 3 categories. Right? Up until now, we're assuming that there were 2 categories. Either I'm looking for a chicken or I'm looking for a white chicken. So now everybody agrees that if he says I'm looking for a white chicken, you can't sell him a white chicken. If he says I'm looking for a chicken, like Rav Yonah says, you could sell him a white chicken. There's no problem with that. The machlokes in the Mishnah is when he says, I'm looking for a white chicken, I'm looking for a red chicken, and I'm looking for a black chicken. So in that case, that's the machlokes in our Mishnah. The Tanna Kama says you can't sell him a white chicken at all. Since he specified white, yeah, he also mentioned red, he also mentioned black, but he specified white, right? The red and the blacks may have just been decoys, but he specified white. We have to assume that he's doing Avodah Zarah. You can't sell him a white chicken, whether it's on its own, whether it's bundled together with others, it can't work. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda says you can't just sell him a white chicken because he mentioned a white chicken. Yeah, he mentioned red and black too, but he mentioned white, so you can't just sell him a white chicken. But if he says white, red, and black, you could sell him all 3 of them. Sure, that would be okay. We also learn a price like this. Rabbi Yehuda says, a masai. When is it osur to sell him a white chicken? If he specifically says, I'm looking for a white chicken, yeah, you can't sell him a white chicken. But if he says, I'm looking for a white one and a red one, let's say, mutter, well then you can sell him a white one and a red one. If he says a white one, a red one, a black one, you can sell him a white one, a red one, and a black one. Sell him all of them. That is where the machlokes is, but it's no problem for Rav Zvid. Rav Yonah, Rav Zvid, Rav Zera, whoever it is. It's no problem for Rav Yonah that. So his principle still stands. If he only says, I'm looking for a white chicken, you can't sell him a white chicken at all. If he says, I'm looking for a chicken, sell him a white chicken. It's fine because he's not looking for anything specific. When he says, I'm looking for a white one, a red one, a black one, so then that's the machlokes in our Mishnah. Chacham say never, and Rabbi Yehuda says it's allowed if he's buying the white chicken with others. Now, even when he says, I'm looking for, I think the point is when he says, then it goes, zeh loven, yeah, exactly. Even when the Ovid Kechavim says, I'm looking for a white chicken, however, Ovid Kechavim she'asa mishteh livno, if it is a Ovid Kechavim who's making a party for his son, or if somebody was sick in his house and they needed chicken soup, mutter, then it's permitted, even if he says a white chicken. How could it be that he could sell him a white chicken if he's making what sounds like a chasana for his son? But remember, we learned in our Mishnah, and Daf Ches, that in Ovid Kechavim was making a chasana for his son, so you can't sell to him on that day, specifically to him and specifically on that day. You can't sell to him and on that day, the day of his son's chasana. But to him, meaning we're saying it's specifically limited to him and on that day, but to him on that day, it's also. So how are we saying that an Ovid Kechavim who's making a chasana for his son, we could sell him a white chicken? How can we say that we could sell him a white chicken? I thought we're not allowed to sell him stuff on the day of his son's chasna. No, it's not talking about where he's making a chasna for his son. No, that of course is also. He's going to serve his Avodah Zarah. Of course it's also. When we're saying that you could sell it to a white chicken to the Ovid Kechavim, his son's making a farbrengen. That's it. The son and his son's friends, they're getting together. They're going to have a farbrengen, and so they're not necessarily going to be Ovid Avodah Zarah. So you could sell him a white chicken for that. So you could sell him a white chicken for his son's farbrengen. You could sell him a white chicken also if somebody's sick in the house and they just need to make chicken soup. That's also fine. Let me just see. Should I? Where are we at? Yeah, 1 second. Tonight we learned in our Mishnah, and all the other things, I don't know, by default they're mutter, but if you explain them, they're also my stomach, my peushin. What are we talking about? By default they're mutter. If you explain them, they're also. If stoma means that he says, I'm looking for white wheat, Perushan the karma lavod is called, but and then the explanation is that he says, I'm looking for white wheat because I want to serve a getchka. Well, if that's the case, what's the chiddush of the Mishnah? Wait, one second. What's going on here? Okay. What's this? What is that? I don't know. Akoponim. So those stamen tzricha lememar dimizabninon, the perushan tzricha lememar dilamizabninon. Well, if that's the case, we're talking about by default. We're talking about that by default. We're talking about that by default. What are we talking about? White wheat. And when you explain it, we're talking about for avodah zarah. Well, I need neither of those, right? I don't need to say that white wheat is mutter. Why wouldn't it be? It's not for avodah zarah. It's not a white chicken. It's white wheat. And if he says it's for avodah zarah, obviously then it's mutter. He's saying it's for avodah zarah. So I don't understand what the Mishnah is teaching us, right? So lo tztamat tzricha l'meimer dimzabnin v'lo perushan tzricha l'meimer d'lo mezabnin. Elo tztamat d'kamar chite rather must be that stoma is mutter if he says chite wheat perushan d'kamar chivaito, and it's also if he says I'm looking for white wheat mechlal the tarnagol, which implies though when it comes to a chicken afilu stoma nami lo. We would imply, so we're saying specifically wheat by default is allowed, but chickens on the other end, if he simply says I'm looking for a chicken, let's say that would be aser. Wheat is mutter in that case. Chickens are not. So afilu stamanami lo amr lo olam staman the kaamar the chite chivartan. No, actually, really, it's like we had said initially that this staman is talking about white wheat. And the explanation is talking about for avodah zarah. Ufeirushan is tichlin. You're wondering, okay, well, what's the chiddush, right? We don't obviously white wheat is okay, and obviously for avodah zarah is not okay. So, well, it's the for avodah zarah part that actually we need to learn about. I may have thought that actually when he says I want white wheat for avodah zarah, maybe he doesn't actually mean that he needs it for avodah zarah. So why is he saying that it's for avodah zarah? He thought he can get a better price that way. He is a very committed and loyal avodah zarah guy. And he figures, well, just like I'm a devout avodah zarah worshiper, everybody else is also avodah zarah believers. And he says, figures, look, I'm a devout avodah zarah nick. I'm a devout avodah zarah adherer. And I know that if a fellow avodah zarah guy would come into my store, I'd be like, take the avodah zarah discount. So he says, well, just like that would be my tendency, I bet others would have the same tendency towards me. So I'm going to, highlight, I'm going to broadcast that I am a fellow avodah zarah guy, and I'll get the best price. So maybe I may have thought that when he says I'm looking for white wheat for avodah zarah, wink, wink, doesn't mean that he actually wants to do avodah zarah. It means I'm an avodah zarah guy just like you. Give me a better price. So Kamash Milan that when he says that he wants to do it for avodah, that he wants the white wheat for avodah zarah, we take him at his word, and we can't sell him the white wheat. Rav Ashi has a kasha. Tarnago lovin katua limi mao lim korlo tarnago lovin shalim. If the guy says I'm looking for a white chicken, like without a leg or so, it's like missing a leg or something. So can you sell him a white chicken that has like a healthy leg-full white chicken? Do we say, well, the guy said he's looking for a white chicken without a leg. Now, avodah zarahs, they like the pulka. They like the pulka. They like the leg. So if he's looking dafka for a white chicken without a leg, clearly it's not for avodah zarah. So therefore, maybe I could sell him a white chicken even with a leg. A regular white chicken. Seems like he's not interested in doing avodah zarah. Otherwise, he would need the leg. Or maybe he's just trying to be sneaky. Maybe he's trying to play a trick. He says, I'm looking for a white chicken without a leg, so that the people would sell to him, because they'll think he's not doing avodah zarah. And if you're going to say, yeah, he's just being sneaky. Well, Tanago Lovan Limi. What about this scenario where he says, who's got a white chicken? And then somebody offers him a black chicken. And he says, you know what? That's fine. I'll take that. They gave him a black chicken v'shakal. He took it. They gave him a red chicken. He was down. Some of them call it lovin. Can you sell him a white chicken, right? Meaning, we had said if he says I'm looking for a white chicken, you can't sell him a white chicken. But what if you saw that when he was offered a black one or a red one, he was okay with it? So is that an indication that he's not doing Avodah Zarah? Because if he was, he wouldn't have been okay with the white, with the red or the black ones. So maybe when it came to the Yavu Shachal V'Shakal, do we say that since he was willing to accept a black or red chicken, clearly he's not going to be doing Avodah Zarah or Dilma, or perhaps Yarume Kamarim, or maybe he's just being sneaky. He figures, well, if I take the black or the red, then they'll sell me what I'm really after, which is the white. Teku. Let's move on. Rameir Omer Av Dekel V'Chule. Rameir had said even a palm tree, a good palm tree. Omer Rav Chizda LaAvimi, says Rav Chizda to Avimi, Gmir da Avodah Shechom da Avram Avinu dal Mea Pirken Avian. Says Rav Chizda to Avimi that our Masechta Avodah, right? V'Avanim Chamisha Tanan. Our Masechta Avodah Zarah that we're learning is 5 prokim, 5 proks, 5 prokim. I just confirmed it. 5 prokim. The Avodah Zarah, the Masechta Avodah Zarah of Avram Avinu, 400 perks. Again, Avodas Kechavim to Avram Avinu, Masechta Avodah Zarah of Avram Avinu, Dalet Mea Pirkei Havim was 400 proks. V'Avanim Chamisha Tanan. Ours is only 5. V'lo Yadinon, my Kamrinan, and we don't know what they're talking about. My Kasha. So Avimi says, no. What's the question? The Katani Reb Meir, Omer Av Dekel Tav, Chatzav V'Niklos. Reb Meir says that even a good palm tree is osir. Osir. Limkor Lav Dekhavim. You can't sell to Dekhavim. Dekel Tav Udulo, Mizabninon. Or Dekel Bish Mizabninon. Well, that implies a good palm tree you can't sell, but a bad palm tree you can. That's not. But we learn in a Mishnah coming up in a few days. Ein mochin loim b'mechuber lakarka. You can't sell them something that is connected to the ground. That includes even a bad palm tree. So Omar le. So Avimi responds, my dekel tav, peiris dekel tav. No, the Mishnah is saying the fruits of a good palm tree. So it's not talking about the actual palm tree, so therefore it's not actually a question. It's talking about don't sell the fruits of a good palm tree. But I guess the fruits of a bad palm tree, I guess, would be okay. Peiris dekel tav. Rav Huna also says we're talking about the fruits of a good palm tree. Chatzov is kashba. Niklos, what's Niklos? Because of Dimi, Amr Chama, Bar Yosef Koraite. Niklos is Koraite. Amalei Abai Rav Dimi. Abai says to Rav Dimi, it's not Niklos v'ledin and Mau. Look, the Mishnah says Niklos. We don't know what the heck it is. Gatom with Koraite v'ledin and Mai v'ledin. And you're saying, oh yeah, Niklos, what is that? It's Koraite. Okay, I don't know what Niklos is. I don't know what Koraite is. Maya, honestly, how does that help to tell? It's like the art school sometimes. It uses, it can translate something into a word that you don't even know what it means in the English. What's the point? So, Amalei Lechu, I'll tell you how it helps you. You want to know how it helps you? It helps you like this. Because if you go somewhere and you're talking about a naklis, they won't know what you're talking about. But if you say that you're talking about a koraite, they're like, koraite, okay, fine, this is what you're talking about. So, okay, yeah, you might not know what either one is, but other people do. So if you go someplace and you have for naklis, nobody's knowing you're talking about koraite, they'll be able to help you. That was Daf Yud Daled of Masechta Avodah Zarah, and we talked about things that you're not allowed to sell to Ovdei Kochavim, including white birds. We talked about different scenarios where you're not allowed to sell white birds, or scenarios where you can sell white birds. If you specifically say if the Ovdei Kochavim specifically says I'm looking to buy a white bird, off limits. If he says I'm just looking to a white chicken, if he says I'm looking to buy a chicken, you could sell him a white chicken. If he says I'm looking to buy a white one, a red one, a black one, so then it's Machleges Tanakama. Tanakama that says never allowed. It says the white one would be allowed if it's bundled with others. Those are the main sugyas today's daf. We also learned that the Masechta Avodah Zarah of Avram Avinu was 400 chapters. Now that's an interesting thing. Peace.